Let me hit record. Welcome to the Winter 2023 Wellness Academy. And today I'm delighted to share with you that we have a guest speaker sharing with us some specialties around special POPs, leaning into Parkinson's disease and other things, and the first ever guest speaker with this degree of experience and or this topic. So I am very excited to host Carl today. I think he's going to expand our thoughts around what wellness means. He is very accomplished in the industry. He's a speaker, an author. He has 2 books. He's an NASM master trainer, and he runs his own center doing a lot of research for those with Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, dementia within his center proper. I've been following Carl on LinkedIn, and I'm just amazed at how he's changing lives with the good work that he's doing. So Carl, I'm thrilled. I'm sending you a virtual hug. So appreciate you. And please do take it away for us. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, Debbie, and everybody who's here. Thanks for allowing me this time to share. I think it's always a real honor to get to share what I've learned, and what we do. What I'm going to share today comes from my experience. Okay. I'm just one person. I am the last person to toot my horn. Okay. So when I say this, please know I'm just saying this as a matter of fact, and that is all. I've traveled and taught and all around the world for the past, I think it's 9 years or 10, maybe, I don't know. 31 countries and counting. Many times, multiple times in each country, Mexico 14 times, I think, in the past 5 years. England, I don't even know. And it's not that it's irrelevant, but it doesn't matter, other than to say that my experience traveling, especially in Europe and parts of South America, Mexico, Asia, has really taught me a lot about what I can do better to help people. Because I tell you, when you go to Europe, man, the first time there, holy cow, I was intimidated, because thank God I had a niche, because these people know so much, because it's a different world over there. For not to diminish anybody here, ever. We have great PTs here, personal trainers, great physical therapists. However, it is different, and I learned a lot. So all this comes from my experience. I kind of had a little thing I wanted to do here. What I'm going to share with you today really applies to all humans, and here's why. We all have a brain. I think we all do. Sometimes I wonder if I do, but anyways, and we all have nervous systems. Okay, you're going to see why I said that. I have a question. I just want to ask one question first. So this is the fun part for me. There is no right or wrong answer, but if I hear a certain answer, this is going to make me smile and be super happy. For our patients or our clients, in your opinion, and just shout it out, what's the best possible thing we can offer to them? What is the best thing they can start? What's the best thing? Do you have a best, something you go for?
Their trust.
I'm writing it down, because I thought of it, but I didn't think of it today.
Presence.
Very important. Focus. How about hope? Somebody comes in, they feel defeated and hopeless. Well, I'll tell you, I just can't believe what happens when somebody gets 1 ounce of hope, because they can go, 1 ounce of hope, caring, encouragement, focus on them. Really, they know, they feel it. And then when they see possibility and they have a little bit of hope, they get empowered. This is why, shameful self-promotion, but my second book is called Parkinson's Training. Parkinson's Empowerment Training. I might as well show you the first one too. That's Parkinson's Regeneration Training. But this is just talks about Parkinson's, and only part of the book, so it really applies to all humans. Because when I wrote the second book, which is the first one I showed you, I really wanted to hit really hard on chapter 1, and all chapters are super short. Hope is just huge. So I'm going to go into sharing the slideshow here, and I'm going to be as concise as possible, so we have plenty of time for Q&A, and I'm available for longer than you need me today, just so you know, because this is very important to me, and I am honored to be here. So let's see, how do we do this? I haven't done this in a while like this. Okay, from the beginning. Here we go. Okay, so the name of my company is called Neuromotor Training, located in Syracuse, New York. Let's just blast through this stuff. What I'd like you to do, and I see some of you have a pen and paper in hand, that makes me so happy. You'll see why I'm going to say this in just a moment. Okay, is I want you to get the most out of this today, and I'm happy you're recording it. Mainly because I think there's a lot to offer here. Again, a lot of it comes from other people, and I'm just putting it together into what I have experienced that really works well for our people. Okay, I want you to just really focus, extreme focus, hyper focus. I also want you to, well, in the interest of getting your brain going as much as possible, writing is really good for brain, creates brain activity. Use a pen and paper. It's better than typing it out, but if you don't have pen and paper and you need to type notes, go ahead and type. It's better than not taking any notes. So take those notes and then jot down questions, please. Does anybody know, let's just say Parkinson's, okay, because this is actually a statistical fact. What's our most immediate and primary concern for a person with Parkinson's disease? Anybody know? Falls. In fact, there's a study that came out recently. I don't know who did it or where it's from, and I heard it on TV, so it doesn't mean it's true. But it did say that the population 65 and up, the number one cause of injury is falls. And then we know that people with Parkinson's disease are much higher risk of falling and injury, but so are people with. We just had a gentleman come in here for 6 days, 2 sessions a day from Toronto, which is about a 4.5 hour drive from here. They found me on Instagram. We had a conversation. They set up a time. They came in for 6 days, he and his wife and his family, and he has multiple system atrophy. That's kind of like a sort of a nasty cousin to Parkinson's, if you will, although it affects more systems of the body typically. Bottom line is, any kind of movement disorder, in particular movement disorders, we're at a higher risk of falling. Parkinson's, multiple system atrophy, probably maybe multiple sclerosis, especially PPMS, ataxia, dystonia, dyskinesia, goes on and on. Okay, number one cause of death statistically in the Parkinson's population are complications from a fall. So it may not be the fall, they fall down, they hurt themselves, they go to the hospital, and maybe they get pneumonia and they pass away, or they get COVID, or something bad happens, right? So that's just that. I just want you to know that that's the thing that we work on most here for depends upon the person. Some have never fallen. About half of our client base, if you will, has Parkinson's or a movement disorder. The other half doesn't, but maybe they have poor balance, or maybe they have dementia. We do a lot with dementia, cognitive decline, and Alzheimer's. So one thing we know for sure, and this comes direct from John Rady, and John Rady is a Harvard Medical School psychiatrist and professor. He's wrote several best-selling books. He's been on my podcast a couple of years ago. I interviewed him. Another thing, if you go to Carl, that's with a K, carlsterling.net, that goes direct to my YouTube playlist of 186 episodes of my podcast to date, and John Rady's one of them. John Rady says in my interview, first thing, by the way, his best-selling books are awesome, like Go Wild and Spark, User's Guide for the Brain. Movement lights up the brain. So we really want to make sure people move, get up and move. In fact, he says humans were designed to move. And, when you're into a movement disorder, Parkinson's especially, or something which is dopaminergic issue or lack in the brain, well, dopamine is not only a neurotransmitter, but it's also a driver. It's the reason we're here on this earth, because it's responsible for reproduction, driving us towards finding the mate, survival, having, getting the food. getting an award, doing a marathon, getting a degree, anything. Dopamine drives us. So if we have lack of dopamine, a lot of times we will get lethargic. We would like to be a couch potato because it feels better. But guess what? We got to move. So movement is so important because it lights up the brain. In fact, John Rady says, and Wendy Suzuki, NYU, another best-selling author, she was on like 3 times on my podcast, that the part of the body that benefits most from exercise isn't the body itself, it's the brain. Is so cool. So when we look at optimal situations for movement and stimuli, I put this together because this is something Rady talks about and Wendy Suzuki talks about, is if we can make a learning, let's say, when I say learning in this slide, I'm really talking about learning, let's say, a new skill, an ability, a multitasking skill, maybe a balance thing, whatever it is, play or gamify. That is so great. People love, generally speaking, to have fun. In fact, the comments we get here a lot are, geez, I didn't even feel my legs burning because I was thinking about the video game we're doing. So we have so many different things here that we do. Anyways, so we move, we gamify. If we can combine it with being outdoors, there are a lot of advantages because of the negative ions and all this other stuff that's really good for the immune system, right? It's also good for your vision. That's out of Stanford. If we can take off those shoes and socks and we can go barefoot, there's a lot of benefits, many benefits that can be realized by stimulating the small nerve sensory and mechanoreceptors on the bottom of the feet, because they're directly connected to the brain through the peripheral and central nervous system. So if we get more stimuli, because, you know, when we wear shoes and socks over the decades, a lot of those nerves tend to go a little bit dormant. I don't know if you ever heard of Dr. Emily Spickle, but I worked with her for 7 years teaching. I was one of her master instructors, and I traveled, my territory was North America and England. So I taught a lot for her. And she is offers a really great certification that I used to teach, level 1, 2, and I think she has a 3rd level now, barefoot training specialist. If you go to, I don't know, I think it might be EBFA, which is Evidence-Based Fitness Academy. So EBFA.com, or just Google it. Go there and check it out. I don't teach for her anymore. I just don't have time, but it's a really great education about benefits of barefoot. Plus, if you want to know about football mechanics, you're going to learn it all right there. Anyways, barefoot, outdoors, in a safe environment, of course, barefoot, moving, gamifying, and if you can add a little maybe music. Now, the music could be nature, birds, water, whatever. Or if you're not outside, it could be a rhythm, it could be music. People tend to move better. Their gait seems to improve, even if they have no sense of rhythm. They still, and I'm as a drummer for a career for 35 years. So if people are out of sync, it drives me crazy, but you know, I get over it because usually they still move a little bit better. All those things are just so valuable. Let's move forward. I'd like to talk about 2 types of training in general today. One's called bottom up. We got top down, we got bottom up. So bottom up training is going to be where you are preferably barefoot and you're stimulating the small nerve sensory receptors, mechanoreceptors, and your plantar skin. Of course, just being barefoot alone can do that, right? Well, we happen to have, we're very, very lucky to have the absolute top end power plate here. And hey, John and Donna, they just walked in. They're probably going to get on it, and you know, they're going to stimulate their brain and their nervous systems. And what we find with this is, first of all, get that extra sensory input. When you wake those nerves up, you get more sensory input. So you have a better sense of proprioception and what's the other one? Kinesthetic awareness, right? Where you are in space and where you are relative to other objects in space. So bottom up training, I could go on for days about this, but I know we're tight on time. Then we have top down training, which I love. Top down. Well, the brain and neural circuitry in the brain, okay, is compromised in various neurological and movement disorders, or it could be other issues too, you know, TBIs and concussions and this and that. But bottom line is, even if we have no neural circuitry interruptions, if we want to learn something new, well, we can do it because new neural circuits are developed. Okay. And in people with, let's say, impaired gait, movement, coordination, fine motor skills, or whatever, granted, this may not be perfect, the outcome, but if they can improve their movement, improve their gait, reduce their fall risk, they're going to do it through learning. And this comes through developing new neural circuitry. Okay, because the brain can be retrained. Okay, it's called the second bullet point there, neuroplasticity. I'm sure you've all heard of it. We're going to talk about it in a minute. I'm just going to move forward because examples, you know, I've pretty fluent in Spanish now, but it's after years of studying and talking every day in Spanish. I love it. I finally learned Spanish, you know, it's so cool. And I love to speak another language and actually have people understand me and understand them. Riding a bike, driving a car, learning a new skill, play a musical instrument, anything we want to learn involves neuroplasticity. All right. This frequent and repetitive training to develop this new skill or ability causes the formation of new synaptic firing patterns between neurons in the brain. And through this regular training, these patterns are reinforced. And the more solid they become, the better we get. All right. So I want to talk to you about something. If you haven't heard of the Andrew Huberman podcast, you really have to check it out because this comes direct from Andrew Huberman out of Stanford. I've never seen neuroplasticity broken down so simply, and this is how I teach it. Because it is simple. Simple doesn't mean easy. Okay, so age plays a role. I'm 62, so I'm not going to learn as fast as my granddaughter who's 2 and learning new words every single day, or my other granddaughter, or my grandson, right? So children and young adults have highly neuroplastic brains. Mere exposure alone to another language. In fact, I speak to my grandchildren in Spanish most of the time because my kids want them to learn. My daughter and my son want their kids to learn another language, so I do it. And they're starting to speak a little bit back to me in this now. Like, no, Pepe, no. Okay, or yes, Pepe. Gracias, Pepe. The brain customizes itself based on its experiences, right? Okay, so adult brains, though, approximately over age 25, they are not as plastic. We need to do what Huberman calls self-directed adaptive plasticity. That's a load right there, but we direct the changes in our brain and we create them by implementing 2 primary steps. I will tell you what it is: hyperfocus and sleep. Let's talk about it. Step 1, we hyperfocus. We can chunk. Maybe it's 1 minute of focus. Maybe it's 5 minutes. Maybe it's 30, whatever it is. Focus, 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 focus. Pay attention. Be present. Be in the moment. Short bouts of extreme focus and deliberate effort. And this will vary from day to day for me, for sure. Today is a medium day right now. And this excites me. So I'm very focused. But I wasn't 3 hours ago. So anyways, this deliberate effort, though, is really important. You do what you can. Noradrenaline is released during periods of focus. Noradrenaline may cause the feeling of strain and discomfort during the concerted effort. However, this noradrenaline, it's a good thing because while that's happening, you also have another beautiful chemical release called acetylcholine. And this is released at the site of the synapses involved in what is being learned. I only have a couple slides left, so we're almost there. Acetylcholine marks these synaptic firing pattern areas for strengthening. Okay, so just think about this again. That's a load right here. There's a lot of information, but focus creates these things right here. Focus, you're paying attention. You'll feel the noradrenaline in your cognitive fatigue. You'll just feel that fatigue, right? I do, a lot when I'm studying. We want to, if it fatigues us too much, though, like this morning, I was at please don't judge. I'm an avid CrossFitter. I love it. It's the best thing I ever did for my body. That's all I'm going to say about that. Plus, my daughter does it, so I do it with her. but I was not focused on the exercises at first, and I had to focus. And then when I got focused, I was on fire. But I also realized that I gained 4 pounds in February. And I've been keeping my weight down this year. My reward to this effort is in San Diego in 2 weeks when I go to the URSA conference. Those 4 pounds are going to be gone. That's my reward, okay? And it's not about the weight so much, it's about how I feel. And I want to live a long time. So hyper focus. My reward is I'm going to feel better. That's my overall reward. Step 2 is sleep. Why? Because sleep is where the neural pathways, I can't talk, neural pathways and circuitry are best formed and strengthened during sleep. Okay, that's it. So you don't have to sleep right after you learn something, although if you took a nap, it won't hurt. But if you don't have time for it, just try to get a good sleep at night. If you want any information on sleep, I've got some really great information on how to sleep better. Seems to work for a lot of people. That comes from Stanford as well. And another book by, oh man, I can't remember his name. Just look up the book, Why We Sleep. Get it. It is the best book on sleep I've ever read. Okay. Which I also like when we're learning to do things, because we know a lot of times that rotations, distractions, maybe a phone ringing while a person with Parkinson's or movement disorder is moving, walking, and then they go to rotate and it causes freezing a gait, and then they lead to a higher risk of fall. Fall risk is elevated at that point, so they're more likely to fall down. We don't want that. So if we can train in ways that allow both motor and cognition at the same time, this can allow us to, and we're going to do this at the level of the person, okay? I'm sure, we're all professionals here. We can't just have somebody doing one thing that's way too hard and then they fall down here and we get hurt. No, we do what they can, but we push them appropriately with safety in mind, but push them to do multitasking, condition, hand-eye coordination, movement, same time. A lot of cross body patterns are really, really good too for the hemispheres of the brain to fire together. There are multiple types. It's in my second book about memory and cognition. Just a couple here. We might have somebody walking sideways over hurdles, cross pattern, possibly, or maybe not sideways, but whatever. Just one example of countless where we are maybe playing with hey, Elizabeth. Hey, young lady. Is that letter ball around? Thank you. So sorry. Where we play a game, okay? And the game might be, maybe they're doing sit to stand. It could be anything. They could be, because strength is a foundation for balance, right? Thank you so much, young lady.
Welcome.
If you go to fireupyourbrain.com, these balls are $20 and they're really cool because they have the alphabet on them and the numbers 1 through 12, I think, or 1 through 16. Play a game, get the ball. Maybe our topic at Bernie's house an hour ago was birds. Oh boy, I got the letter R. Robin, C, cardinal. So any kind of topic, hand-eye coordination while you're moving or doing some strength or whatever, and cognition, same time. Maybe we have them doing spatial. Tell me how, while we're boxing or something, whatever. Maybe it's 2 rights and a left or whatever. Tell me how to get from here to your neurologist's office. Name every detail you can. Decision making is a real good one. We can use, we have some reactive training lights we use. They're kind of like the Blaze Pods, but they're not Blaze Pods. If you've ever seen those, they're really cool. Where they're assigned a task, and it depends upon the person's ability too. And I promise we're almost done with this, and then I have plenty of time for Q&A, is we'll a lot of times do like right hand, maybe red, or right side is red, because I have 6 lights on a wall and 6 on this reactive training board, which I'll show you a video in a minute. It's really, really cool. Where right side is red, or maybe right side is blue, left side is green, but don't hit red. It could be that. But the red one's barking at you, literally, because it wants you to hit it, but you're not supposed to hit it. So decision making, problem solving, we can talk about that in a while. Let's move forward to this. The last thing I want to cover is this. Via exercise, according to all the research, I haven't found anything to counter this or say anything not to support this, is the best known way of slowing disease progression, or if somebody's genetically predisposed to onset of Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, whatever. Cardio, cardio, cardio. This comes from Wendy Suzuki. It comes from John Rady. It comes from Stanford. It comes from everywhere, because we know that cardio, an elevated heart rate, the equivalent of walking as fast as you can safely, not being at high risk for fall, for, well, it's got to be like minimum 15, 20 minutes. You could break it up, walk, take a break, walk, take a break, do what you can, box, shadow boxing, a million things we could do. It gets blood and oxygen to the brain, but most important, it creates what we call brain-derived neurotrophic factor. If you've ever heard of this, you know this is like miracle grow for the brain. That's what Rady from Harvard calls it. In an active state, we increase neuron activity. We enrich, our environment is enriched when we're active. Even, treadmills for me are really boring, but, I'll do it if I don't want to, if I'm trying to cross train or anything. I prefer to be on some other equipment or outside on my mountain bike or running, or a box or whatever. Or we have climbers here from the Climber Company, and they're really, really good. But bottom line is, this produces brain-derived neurotrophic factor when we have our heart rate elevated. This helps to keep certain chemicals in the system for longer, so there's a better chance of uptake of the chemicals. For example, levodopa, carbidopa, Sinemet, or any other medications. In fact, in Australia, and I believe now in the United States, but I don't know where, therapy, there are places implementing cardio immediately after you go, right after your chemo, down to the gym in the building, you do the cardio. And what they're finding is that the effectiveness of the chemotherapy is so much more, because it's getting into your body faster, because your heart rate's higher, increases circulation. But we have BDNF, which is attaching to this and is circulating it through your body. Bottom line is, exercise is going to help us in more ways than just cardiovascular, cardio especially, I'm sorry. It can also help to prevent some cell death, promote long-term maintenance, possibly make it so disease doesn't progress as quickly, and for those who are genetically predisposed, possibly delay onset, or maybe eliminate it, right? So that's it. That's all I got for you today. That's my first book. That's my second book. They're available on Amazon only, because I just used to ship them out of here, but I just don't have time, and you'd never get it. It'd take you a month to get it if I send it. So carlstrolling.com has all the information, and that is it, my friends. Thank you very, very much.
Carl, that's amazing, amazing.
Thank
It's
you.
absolutely riveting. So let's open up. Firstly, thank you so very much. As you said, all of these things are on the rise in America, and we all lean into exercise as medicine, but you gave us a lot more, I feel like, I'm speak for myself, understanding of exactly what that means in this space. So that's powerful. Ursi, I see you first in the chat. If you'd like to go ahead,
Okay.
please. Yeah.
Okay, I thought I wasn't first. All right.
Thank
Thank you very much, Carl.
My pleasure.
Very great information. I wanted to ask about hyperfocusing. Recently, I never do this, but recently I downloaded one of these games on the phone, pattern recognition, and I was going crazy with that. Or maybe you cannot hear me.
No, I can hear you.
Oh,
I got
okay.
you.
And
It's getting a little noisy in here, so I put these on.
Hyper focusing playing the game. I deleted it because, and then after that, I felt horrible. I didn't feel good, and I felt it was a waste of time. I felt like an addict, trying to do that. So I want to talk about that versus meditation, which is a more relaxed, focused state than maybe hyper focus and making an effort to focus. So if you can address that. And also I wanted to ask about my son. My son is finishing his PhD in math, and he recently told me that he cannot stop thinking, and that sounded not good to me. He cannot stop thinking. He said that even when he has a headache, he cannot stop thinking math. So it's, I
Math?
don't know if you have anything to say about that, but
Yeah, I probably do.
Mhm.
I probably do.
Okay,
So
thank
let me go back to this. Appreciate you sharing that with me very much. Tell me what was it you downloaded that you were playing that you deleted?
puzzle, awful games. Puzzle, trying to fit patterns. I like that a lot, but
Okay.
I found it awful, 11 p.m. doing that.
So that's a really, really interesting thing. And the third book that I'm writing has nothing to do with Parkinson's. Has to do with my challenges with my addictions, alcohol especially. I don't drink anymore because if I did, I'd probably wind up in jail for real. So I had to get over that a long time ago. But I have a lot of experience with addiction personally. So one thing I can tell you for sure is that when I play a game, I'm all in, baby. And you're not getting me out of it. You have to pull me out. So I have to be careful that I don't. What happens is, let's combine Parkinson's here, okay? Because this is a dopamine deal. This is 100% dopamine. But if we can learn to manage it, we can start to get into some of the other what they call another great book. It's called The Molecule of More by David Lieberman. There are two David Liebermans who are doctors. Just look for The Molecule of More. I interviewed the co-author on my podcast, Michael Long. Very interesting. We talked about addiction and my addictions and all that. But when you're playing a game, this is a dopamine rush because you're probably trying to do the game, do well, and you want to do better. So you go back and you start over and you start over and you can't stop. Well, that's me, and I relate to that 100,000%. And I'm going to admit something to you right now. I play Pokemon Go every single day. Now I'm down to about 10 minutes a day. But it's been 6.5 years, whatever. But I don't drink anymore. I don't do bad things to my body. I'm pretty much addicted to CrossFit, so that's what I do. It's a healthy addiction for me. As far as the focus goes, I'd recommend that don't activate your dopamine circuits. If you're focusing on a game or you're online, you're on Amazon maybe, and I know people with Parkinson's, this is where I bring in Parkinson's. Sometimes if you ever run into someone with Parkinson's or anyone who's taking levodopa, carbidopa, Sinemet, or any dopamine replacement, and they have binge behaviors, and here are the main behaviors: hypersexuality, shopping, and gambling. Those are the three most common hyper behaviors. They need a levodopa dosage change. Probably needs to be lower because they're getting too much dopamine and they just want more dopamine hits, and they get it through. Oh, I know one lady, I wrote about her in my first book. I've met her a few times when I was teaching in England. She wanted one purse. She bid on 97 purses. She won 79 bids, bought them all, had to pay. And her husband said, "Where's all the money?" She said, "I got to go to the doctor," because she needed a lower dose and that problem. So with us, if we don't have a movement disorder, we're not taking that medication, dopamine is still a thing, and it's still a driver, and it drives you to want more. It's the molecule more. Dopamine always needs something to do. And once you get it fired up, you're probably going to want to keep doing whatever it is. And especially if you're like me, who they talk about people with addictive tendencies like me, to be highly dopaminergic brains. This is what we do. We have to learn how to manage it. So for me, I can't meditate really very well, but if you can, I would highly recommend that and focus on whatever it is that makes you feel good during the meditation. And you don't have to be still and silent during meditation, I learned.
Mhm.
This still didn't help me. And I'm kind of rambling. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to take up too much time with this, but this is an important subject, and it can actually be causing us to lose sleep and diminish our quality of health and maybe our emotional state. So this hyper focus that I speak of in my little presentation here really has to do with understanding that if we want to learn something, we will best learn by really paying attention and hyper focus on it. For me, it could be literally 20 seconds of something and then I'm done. And then maybe another 20 seconds, but it depends upon what it is. I don't know if that helps you at all, but
I think so.
my third book's going to be called Become More Than Your Addictions. Stop being selfish. Get your shit together, pardon me, and serve other people. Because it ain't the me show. It ain't about me, it's about we. Because it used to be about me. And then until I realized it wasn't.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you're saying that probably my son and myself playing the game have the same kind of problem, like too much dopamine right there,
I think so, yeah.
and
don't-
that is not good for the brain.
Yeah, especially
Or
at
is it
night
good?
because you probably won't sleep as well. I think if you go to my website, carlsterling.com, you will see a link to my podcast. You also see front page, I think right now currently is an episode about sleep. It's like 8 minutes long. Check
Mm.
that out. It's helped a lot of people to be able to sleep better. And it comes from Stanford and a book called Why We Sleep. As far as your son goes, I think maybe if he has anything else he can try to do to distract himself from thinking about math. And I'm a drummer and I think about rhythms
Yes.
constantly. And I haven't done a gig in 9 years and I don't play anymore, but I still think about drums. I don't want to play. I just think of rhythms. Sometimes it's therapeutic for me though.
Mm.
I don't know.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was a great question, Ursi.
I
That's a
have a
great-
question. Carl.
Rachel?
Hi, Carl. Thank you so much for being here today. I feel so inspired by the brain balls that I had a couple of questions about.
Oh, great.
So I
Oh,
think
these are great. Yeah, these are awesome.
yeah, so I would love lots and lots of senior ladies live in my complex, and we have a gorgeous pool. And I was thinking of starting some women's swim classes, and I was thinking of incorporating those balls. I think that would be so cool
Oh,
to play games with the ladies and have them do, you know, touching and grabbing. And like, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to steal your game.
Oh,
But
please.
thanks to Melissa, I looked up the speed balls. And is that the only place you can buy them right now, is on the actual website?
As far as I know, yeah. And
Okay.
I think because I talked to the owner creator about a month ago, just about a possible project we might do. I don't know right now, but I think if you buy on their site, there's a deal. If you buy a certain number, you get a 1 or 2 for free. But our people really love them, and we use them constantly. Kids love them too. I mean,
Mhm.
we don't have many children to come here, but on the occasion that we do, we use them just if they're just being occupied while their parent or somebody's here, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Rachel,
I see
I would
that-
go,
Oh, sorry.
I would go in
Sorry.
on an order with you for my Cliff's older adults
Oh,
for
okay.
balance class. Yeah, like if we have to buy a certain number, I would imagine several of us. Okay, so if we want to do that, just dump it in our Facebook group. And if we can bulk buy and get 50, I don't mind sharing postage to get things out. But I think we're all going to pounce on that because that's
Yeah.
brilliant. I've never seen those before. It's
Yeah, me
brilliant.
neither.
Yeah.
They have a buy 10, get 1 bundle, and then they have, I mean, all the way up to buying 100, you get 10 free. So I don't think we need to go that crazy, but
Well, I would take 12 because I have 12 ladies in my class for balance. So I would, and I'd probably buy 15 just in case one pops or something, like, so
Yeah.
we'll see, but maybe we group it.
I'll say, just so you know, I have two. I've had one of them for about 3 years, one for 2. I've only pumped them up after the initial one time.
Oh, wow,
These
fantastic.
and one of them is in the car because we do just a handful of house calls. I don't really do much of that anymore, but one's, and it's 20 degrees, 10 degrees here, so they withstand the cold in the car overnight and they still bounce the next day, and they're very durable. It's high quality for
That's
20 bucks a
impressive.
ball. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Okay. Thanks, Rachel, for that.
Thank you, Carl.
And another thing too, sorry, just while I think of it, if you go to my website and go to tools, it has a list of a lot of our favorite tools, my favorite tools. It's really just me here and Elizabeth.
That's
So
fabulous.
I always make it sound like us. So we're not that big. There's 2 of us. So,
Under tools, got it. Okay, thank you.
Maureen, do you have a question?
Yes, I have two.
Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you so much. I got on your website a few days ago to stalk you, and you got me, and you had me at Heberman because I got
Oh yeah, I
addicted to
love
him.
that
I
guy.
got addicted to him
Oh, man.
2 years ago, and you should
Yeah.
be in my house at night. All the lights are out. I go work with the sun in the morning at night. So I'm a big fan of his. I
Yeah.
lose sleep for no one unless I'm dancing. That's my only exception.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for giving us the time today and the extra bonus of extra time to answer our questions. I have 2 questions for you. The first one is maybe if you can touch back to your statement about the association with dopamine and couch potatoes. That got my attention. My husband and I are totally opposites. He totally supports everything that I do in fitness, but he's 150 pounds overweight and he's turned into a couch potato and really getting addicted to social media. So he wants nothing to do with exercise, and he's so young and has so many health issues already. So I wanted to get more information on the dopamine and the association with couch potatoes and that kind of lifestyle. Hopefully I can inspire him to do something a little bit more in movement area. My second question is, I am a step addict and I love stepping.
Me too.
And
Oh, you mean step exercise?
yes,
Okay, yeah, okay.
aerobic step dancing, old school
Okay.
from the 1980s. So, and I still
I
step
hear.
at the age of 65, and I can outdo most most everybody. But
Beautiful.
my question to you in regards to stepping, in the recent month, I guess especially in anticipation of your visit with us, I've been really studying and researching the role that dancing has on cognitive development. And also, my question to you is, what more can I throw into my step routines to build that neurotransmission and development of the brain, because that's what I want to sell it on for, especially our aging population, because it's so easy on the body and on the joints to do stepping, and we accomplish so much, not just cardio. It's brain work.
Mhm.
I am listening, I'm writing, and now I'm answering. Let's go back to the first one. Okay, here's the simple version. Sometimes I have too many words in my head, but the simple version of this is I was 70 pounds heavier than I am now. Now I feel really, really good. I've probably never been in better physical condition in my life. I was a drummer, I was drinking, I was eating, I was traveling, I was on the bus, I was on the tour bus, whatever. I lived that life. I didn't do drugs, I just did vodka and stuff like that. So that adds on the pounds when you're not moving. I had a lot of health problems and a health scare. So bottom line is this. In retrospect, in my experience with losing the 70 pounds, it took a year for me to lose it, but I lost it. It's because I wanted to live a long time. Fast forward to understanding about dopamine. and being lethargic possibly. That's me. I still don't want to go. In fact, Elizabeth here, she would tell you, she's right here. I'll complain about going to CrossFit, but I know if I go, I'm going to be happy. I don't want to go. I don't want to go, but I do want to go because my daughter's there. And if I don't go, I got to report to her. Why aren't you here, Dad? Where are you? You're late. Oh, you're not coming. No, I can't do that. I just can't do it. So I have an accountability set up. I think for me, because I want this and I want to maintain how I feel. I want to this is the first winter ever I've maintained my weight, other than those 4 pounds last month, but usually it's more like 25 pounds in the winter. So I'm happy. He has to want it. And if he doesn't want it, maybe you could, in some respectful way, do you have children?
Yeah, she's 39. Yeah.
Any other, it's none of my business, grandchildren?
No, just puppies. And we love our puppies.
Oh, absolutely. Well, if there's just someone or whatever, if I had to think about longevity for family reasons. I want to be around, I want to be around. I don't want to be a burden. And so 14 years ago, pardon my friend, I'm just going to be real. I got my shit together. I said, I'm going to do this. Damn it. I'm doing it. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to go through the pain. I'm going to go through the work. But still to this very day, even this morning going to CrossFit, I didn't want to go, but I did. Because here are the 3 words I say all the time. The first 3 words are just get started. So what does that mean for me? You got to get off the couch. I love my couch. In fact, in the morning, I get up early just so I can get on my couch to be on it longer before I leave. And I'm not even lying. I'll get up at like 5:45. I could sleep till 6:15 a lot of times, but I get on early so I can go down to the couch and drink coffee because I love my couch. But I got to get off that couch. I'll do everything I can to wait till the last second to get off that couch. And then when I have to go, I got to go. But when I get going, I feel like going. And so when I say just get started because dopamine can be created through movement. So if you're moving, you do the thing. Now, this came from some other person. I don't know who it was. Somebody decades ago said this: do the thing, and you get the energy to do the thing. Well, here are just a couple examples. Get up and get off the couch and go exercise, and you'll get the energy to exercise. That's me all the way. All I need is 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes max at whatever I'm doing, unless it's mountain biking, because I always want a mountain bike. Never do I not want to. But otherwise, I've got to fight it, get out, get in, do it. I get the energy to keep doing it. Doing my taxes. I didn't start yet, but if I just get started organizing that, I will do it all in one day, one sitting, and I'll hand it to my accountant, and then he'll tweak and do whatever he has to. That's it. There are other things that it's just that whatever it is, it's an interchangeable thing. So just going back to your husband, if he can attach a reward to this as well, he needs to find the reward that works for him. What is going to move him to get off the couch? For me, it was just being healthier and being around longer and feeling better. And that worked for me. But you have to he needs to find what will work for him. And, I'm just saying this because I don't know how else to say it, is maybe you could be that catalyst to remind him of what is most important to him. Maybe and if you don't, maybe you can talk with him and explore and show of course, show your love and your caring, of course, but honey, what can we do about this? Or maybe he's not that kind of person and he doesn't want to hear that. Everyone's different. They're motivated differently. Him reason, and then when he gets started, he's going to feel like doing it. I guarantee it. Even if it's only for 5 minutes, he'll feel like it for at least 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. And then it'll increase a little, hopefully day after day. Oh, and the other question, stepping. Do you do this with other people?
Yeah, I do it on Zoom and I do it in
Oh,
person.
oh, so you could do this. 8. That's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Wait, A, B, C, D, E, F,
At
G,
130
H. That's the 8th letter of the alphabet. Actually,
at
you should know this.
132 beats per minute.
Yes. Okay. So you're tossing it up. If you're in person, you play catch. We do this with my godmother. She's 92. And that's Elizabeth, who works with me here. That's her stepmother. Anyways, we'll be, oh, that's the letter I have. Oh, so what letter of the alphabet is that? -5. Okay. So the answer's got to be minus O. So M is 14. No, 13. So O is 15. Right? -5. So the answer is 10. You can do whatever you want with these things. You make it as hard as you want to, but what it's going to do basically is have you thinking differently. Maybe it's geography. Oregon. Oh, a country. Well, I can't think of any right now, but it's something you find on a map. A food, an onion, an animal, orangutan. It starts with O, right? So, I mean, there are things we can do with this that can be, that's just one thing. If you can make like a throw and catch out of it, add some cognition while you're trying to keep step to the beat. That's just one idea. If you want, though, I'll type my email here. I've got slews of videos. I'm always happy to share. I'm writing my email in the chat here. I have playlists and playlists and playlists of videos on YouTube that are not easy to find, but if I send you the link, you're going to have it.
Thank you, Carl. I think we can do the last question with Mariana and then we will call it a wrap. Carl, I think if you're amenable to it, I will have you back. And
I'd absolutely love to.
yes,
Is anyone going to the URSA conference?
not this year. Maureen is. Maureen, Carl will be there.
Yes, bring me a ball
You
or two.
go, girl.
Melissa's
right,
going to be
Maureen,
there too. And Melissa and Melanie.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
yes, Melissa's going too. That's correct.
Yeah,
Melissa-
and Melanie will be there.
Yep.
Melissa Merkel. Well,
Hopefully,
we should have a little gathering just for fun.
I would love that. Thank you. I'll make that arrangement.
Let's do it.
I'll reach out on email.
Please do. Yeah, that'd be really good.
Exciting. Thank you.
Oh, did I answer this? Yeah, I did. Okay. So you had another question, right?
Well, it's not really a question. I just wanted to thank you because I'm putting together a dance fitness program, and I feel very passionately about dance and how it is so important for brain health. And lately, I've been really caught up on the business side of things, the marketing, and all these things that don't inspire me as much. And
You
they're
don't
very
get your
challenging.
you don't get your dopamine going with that?
No, and it's been very
Yeah.
stressful. Debbie
Same
knows
here.
this. It's been very challenging for me, but just this talk, like you reminded me of why I'm doing what I'm doing, and like just reminding me how amazing how it can affect people's lives in such a positive way was very inspiring, and I really, really needed it this week. So I just wanted to thank you.
Well, I appreciate that a lot. If Debbie, if I have 30 seconds, just want to
You
speak to
do.
that
Yes,
because
you do.
I get into these ruts now and then, and I need to find the reason again. A lot of times it could be somebody just walks in the door here, like Irene just walked in her, and she's amazing. 82, 83 Parkinson's. She crushes it every time. And she reminds me just of a lot of things. And I think that if I really look out at society, not to get weird or sappy or anything like that, but really when you look at a person and especially if you don't know them, like you can't possibly have a clue what's going on. They can have a smile on their face or not. They might have just lost a child. You know, I know a lot of people here have lost children. And I didn't even know about some of this until recently. A couple cases, they have a bad home relationship situation at home. They have had a bad situation. I mean, who knows? And they might be victims of all kinds of verbal and whatever abuse, or maybe even just one time in their life that whenever, it could be recent or not recent, but somebody said one thing that just made them feel so diminished, and they carry that believing it's true. And so, you know, I don't get into that with people unless they decide to share with me. So a lot of them seem to do that. But I think if I go back to the very beginning, I feel best when I feel hopeful. And I know that when I feel better, others around me feel better. So when others feel better, people around them feel better. And if we can offer this genuine, authentic, have eye contact, caring, they know. There's one lady who comes in here, and I don't toot my horn. She said, we love Janice so much. She's struggling horribly. She says, I don't like coming here, but I come here because I know you care. And I appreciate it. And I was like, wow, you just made my week, my month, because we do care, and I hate to see her struggling, but my gosh. So she actually does feel hope. She feels encouraged. She realizes some possibility. And it really, it's just, for me, it really is, how much of that can I offer genuinely in the world? So when I kick the bucket one day, say shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I actually did the best I could. I can always do better, right? But I love it when people feel better, because that makes my day. I feel better as a default. And Irene, standing right here, is one of my prime examples. Hi, Irene. Hi. So
Well, you made me feel better today, so thank you.
Thank you very much. And you're going to Ursa, did you say?
No, unfortunately, but
Well,
maybe
I was
next
gonna go,
year.
and then I wasn't gonna go, and now I'm probably gonna go. So
Mhm.
I think I actually have to go because of some business things. We're starting a 50-person Alzheimer dementia study here. And I've never been about money. It doesn't drive me, but our money is at Ursa. Some of the investors there. So there's a doctor I'm working with out of LA who convinced, pretty much convinced me yesterday to keep my travel plans and just go, because we got to get our investors, because they're stakeholders. They're actually going to make money out of this. And, you know, we're going to help people. That's the number one thing. No, we're going to help them. And yes, I would come back anytime. You just let me know. Say the word. I'm happy. I have tons of more to share, and sometimes I talk too much, but please forgive me.
No, we appreciate those who had the time are here, and others that had meetings, they've gone. So let's all appreciate Carl with a big virtual hug. A huge thank you. This was
Thank you so
inspiring
much.
for all of us.
Thank you.
Your message resonates hugely with us, Carl. So really appreciate you. I will meet you somewhere this year on the conference circuit, at one of them for sure, for sure. And ladies, thanks for the engagement. And everyone has Carl's information. So we'll send out the recording, the PowerPoint. You know where to find his tools. Carl, again, thank you for your time. It was a blessing to have you today.
My pleasure. Thank
Just
you. My
beautiful.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Great group you have here too.
Thank
Wow.
you.
You
All
left
right.
us with hope.
Yes.
Okay.
You started with
glad,
hope,
I'm
we
glad.
ended with hope.
We did.
All
We
right.
did. All right, team.
Okay.
We'll
Thanks.
see you soon.